كلمني وقال لي انزل لي رايحين نسهر، رحنا قعدنا اداني الكاس قلت له بلاش انا مش بشرب، طلبت عصير ما انا مش بشرب.
Welcome again to the classroom, and today we are going to study statistical data. What is statistical data? Statistical data, these are facts or information presented in form of numbers. Katika statistical data huwa tunapresent taarifa katika mfumo wa namba peke yake. For example, number of students in a school. Tukitaka kupresent namba za wanafunzi shuleni tunatumia statistical data. Kitendo cha kusema tuna wanafunzi 230 katika shule fulani ni statistical data. For example, how many chapatis can you eat? Unaweza kula chapati ngapi? Ukisema ninaweza kula chapati 15, that is so called statistical data. And the other thing, data can be qualitative and quantitative. Yani data inaweza kuwa katika mfumo wa aina mbili. Inaweza kuwa qualitative, yani tunaangalia quality ya kitu na sio namba, or data inaweza kuwa quantitative. Quantitative tunaangalia quantity, how many. And then let us check what is qualitative data. Qualitative data is a descriptive information based on quality but not measurable. For example, gender or status. Yani qualitative data ni zile aina ya data ambazo hatuwezi tukazipima katika mfumo wa namba. Tunaangalia quality ya kitu fulani. For example, what's your sex? Male or female? Kwa kitu cha kusema male, that's so called qualitative data. How to present katika mfumo wa namba. Just quality. And then you have quantitative data. Quantitative data is a numerical information expressed in numbers. Qualitative data ni aina ya data ambazo tunapresent katika mfumo wa namba. For example, your weight or the distance. For example, my weight is 100 kilograms. That is so called quantitative data. We present data in a form of what? In a form of numbers. Another thing, types of numerical or quantitative data, or sometimes you can say nature of statistical data. Tutakwenda kutizama aina ya quantitative data. Okay? The first type, we have discrete data. What is discrete data? Discrete data information is expressed in whole numbers only. Okay? Katika discrete data aina hii tuna present quantitative data, lakini katika discrete data tunakuwa tuna present namba nzima. For example, number of people or number of cars. Sawa. For example, ukitaka kusema kuna watu wangapi, unasema kuna watu 15, lakini sio watu 15 na nusu. And that is so called discrete data. Tunatumia namba nzima. For example, 1, 2, 3, hatuna zile 1 na nusu, 2 na nusu, 2.5 and all of that. For example, because these can never be half a person. That's all. That is so called NB. And then you have continuous data. After discrete data, we have continuous data. It contains fractions and decimals as parts of a whole. For example, weight and length. Katika continuous data, hapa ndo tunazile tupresent katika namba nzima. Unaweza kupresent katika mfumo wa sehemu, au unaweza kupresent kwa kupitia desimali. For example, 5.7, 5.7, 5.8 and so on. That is so called continuous data. And then another thing, we have grouped data. What is grouped data? Grouped data deals with values that range from one point to another point. Group data hizi ni zile aina ya data ambazo tunaziweka katika mafungu. For example, we can say from 13 to 15 years. Tunakuwa tunaweka interval pale katikati. For example, kuanzia 15 mpaka 13. For example, again from 10 to 35 kilometers. Tunakuwa tunaweka interval pale katikati. That is so called grouped data. And then we have attribute data. What is attribute data? Attribute data is data that can be classified and counted based on characteristics of a thing. For example, presence or absence of sugar in tea. Katika attribute data huwa tunaangalia kuwepo na kutokuwepo kwa kitu fulani. That's all. For example, tunataka tuseme katika chai kuna sukari au hakuna sukari. Kitendo cha kusema kwenye chai kuna sukari, that is so-called attribute data. Kwenye chai hakuna sukari, that is so-called attribute data. And then it is categorized into 4 categories. Attribute data be classified, imechambuliwa katika sehemu 4. We have nominal, we have ordinal, we have interval, we have ratio. Right? Let us start with nominal. What is nominal attribute data? Nominal attribute data, these are variables with no meaningful order or rank. They describe in object, for example, seat name or colors. Katika nominal attribute data ni zile aina, sawa, ni zile aina za data ambazo hazina meaningful, sawa, yani hazina order maalum, hazina rank maalum, sawa, yani zinakuwa tu zina describe kitu, jina la mji Dar es Salaam, jina la sehemu, for example Rekwe, or colors, ana rangi gani, nyeupe, ana rangi gani, nyeusi. It has no meaningful. That is so called nominal attribute data. And then you have ordinal attribute data. What is ordinal attribute data? Ordinal attribute data, these are variables with a meaningful order or rank. Katika ordinal, hizi ni aina za data ambazo zinakuwa zina rank maalum, zinakuwa zina meaningful maalum, zinakuwa zina rank maalum, zina order, sawa. They only describe order, not bigness. What na, for example, small, medium or large. Katika ordinal ndo kuna rank, sawa. How does it look like? Inaonekana vipi? Ni kikubwa ama kidogo au cha size ya kati, and all of that. That is so called ordinal attribute data. And then you have interval attribute data. What is interval attribute data? Interval attribute data deals with the space between variables. For example, interval between 20 news of centigrade and 10 news of centigrade is 10. For example, katika interval interval attribute data kunakuwa tunadili na ile namba ya katikati. For example, kuanzia 10 mpaka 20, sawa, difference yake, tofauti yake ni ngapi? Ni 10. That is so called interval attribute data. And according to interval data, there is no true zero, because even zero has a value. Also, negatives are used. For example, in temperature, 0 degrees means it is very cold, not that there is no temperature at all. Okay, what is ratio data? Ratio data deals with order of variable, difference between them, and that the variables have true zero. That means 0, nothing. Also, there are no negative values. For example, height is ratio data because 0 feet means there is nothing. Hapa kuna tofauti kati ya ratio data and interval data. Katika interval data, okay, katika interval data unapozungumzia 0, it has meanings, right? Unaposema 0 degree of something, there is meaning in interval data, but in ratio data tunapozungumzia 0 inakuwa haina meaning yoyote. For example, ukisema 0 feet ina maana foot 0, it has no meaning. But in interval data ukisema 0 degree, it means very cold. So that is difference kati ya ratio data na interval data. We have spatial data. What is spatial data? Spatial data is data which represent a specific geographical location on the Earth's surface by using numbers. It can be discrete. Ikumbukwe, discrete is just a whole number. Tunapo present kitu katika whole number, that is so called discrete data. So for example, spatial data is like you are going to unakwenda kuelezea au unakwenda kuelezea information ya sehemu fulani. Spatial data is like space data. For example, ile sehemu na 2 lakes, ina maziwa mawili, right? Or it has 10 buildings, or ina majengo 10. That is so called spatial data, sababu unakwenda tu kuelezea nature ya sehemu fulani katika mtindo wa whole number. Or pia katika spatial data we can use continuous data. For example, 36.5 meters above sea level is just like tunaelezea nature sehemu fulani ikoje. That's so called spatial data, is like space data. Something to remember, single structures like houses are represented by points. Also, long structure like roads are presented by polylines. Wide structures like towns are presented by polygons. And let us finish up with sources of data. We have two sources of data, which are primary source and secondary source. What is primary source? Primary source, this is where a researcher uses his or her senses of organ, like eyes, ears, skin, and all of that, like to get the information. And then after that, we have secondary source. Secondary source is like we are going to take the information from the books, from the journals, like from the people who did the research. More elaboration. Primary data, hii ni aina ya data ambayo au ni aina ya source ambayo muhusika mwenyewe, mtafiti, anatumia organi zake mwenyewe, milango yake mitano ya fahamu. For example, macho, masikio, anakwenda na fetch information kabisa katika sehemu husika, and then anakwenda kupublish. Sisi tukienda kutafuta zile information kutoka katika zile published stuffs, and that is so called secondary data. Thank you.